Why does Santa always have milk with his cookies? Why not coffee? He needs that caffeine boost. Hi, I'm Leslie with Leslie's Cookies and Treats, and if you love decorating sugar cookies or you want to learn how, you're in the right place. Let's decorate together. But keeping with tradition, let's make Santa some milk to go with his cookies that we'll leave out on Christmas Eve. All the supplies you need to make these cookies are listed in the description, so check that out and decorate along with me. I'm starting out by sketching out with my scribe. You could also use a toothpick or an edible marker, just where Santa's belt should be on this glass of milk. And then I'll brush away the crumbs, and I just want to put a little bit of icing here, and I'm going to use a paintbrush that I dipped in water and then wiped off all of the excess on a paper towel so it's just barely damp. And I want to spread some white frosting here because I don't want to have the bare cookies showing, and so I wanted a white background. But I didn't want it to be thick. And now I'll start outlining and flooding the cookie. I'm going to start with the bottom section. I'm using a white royal icing and about a 15-second consistency. I'm just going to touch down, lift up my piping bag, and kind of follow along that scratch line that I made earlier with my scribe. And then I'll flood this area in. And once again, I'll use my scribe to shape the icing and get it out to the points, smooth it out, and pop any air bubbles. And we'll let that dry for a little bit while we move up to the next section of white above the belt. And again, I'm going to outline and then flood in this area as well, following the scratch lines that I made on the cookie. And once you have it all flooded in, go ahead and grab your scribe or your toothpick and smooth that icing out and shape it as you need to. And then I'm going to set this cookie aside to dry for about 10 or 15 minutes until the white icing has a chance to crust over. So my white icing has set up. It's crusted over, and now I'm going to come in and outline and flood in the straw. And I apologize that my hand is in the way and you can't really see this too well, but I'm just going to outline a rectangle here, and then I'll put a squiggle in the middle to help prevent craters, and then flood that in. And just go ahead and flood right over your squiggle. You don't have to wait for it to dry. And then use your scribe to settle that icing down and get it out to a point. And then I let my cookie dry completely before coming back in with a red edible marker. And again, all of the products you need are listed in the description. And I'm just going to put some stripes on this straw. I'm going to try to make even sections here, but I'm just going to eyeball it. And so my marker has a skinny end and a fat end, so I use the skinny end to make the lines, and I'll use the fat end to go ahead and color in each one of these sections. And then for areas where I can't really get all the way to the cookie without writing where I don't want to write, I went ahead and grabbed a paintbrush and I got it wet and then dried all the water off on a paper towel. And because this ink stays wet for quite a while, I can use that to blend the ink and get it out all the way to the edges where it needs to go. And we'll let that dry while we move back down to the belt, and I'm just going to outline and flood in the belt, and then we'll shape it and smooth it out with our scribe. And my black royal icing is a thicker consistency. It's probably more like a 20 to 25 second consistency, so I'm going to have to work with it a bit to get it smooth. And I want to drag it up on the sides here so it's kind of curved like the belt is going up around the cookie. And once I have it the way I like it, I'm going to set it aside to dry again for at least 20 minutes. Before I come back in with my yellow icing and outline the belt buckle, my yellow icing here is about a 20-second detail consistency because I really want the sharp corners and from my belt buckle to keep its shape. So I'm going to outline it, and then I'm going to actually go over it again a second time to give it some height so it will contain the flood icing. So to do this outline, you just want to touch down at each corner, lift up, and then touch down at each corner, following along around the square. And once your outline's done, you can go ahead and flood it in immediately. You don't need to wait for it to dry. And yes, I know that my flood icing is a different color than my outline, but that's okay because once this dries, I'm going to paint the belt buckle gold. So once you have the belt buckle flooded, use your scribe to settle it down and shape it more if need be, and then set this part aside to dry. While you're waiting, you can go up and do the outline at the top of the milk carton. So I just touch down with my white icing, lift up, go over the top of the straw, touch down on the other side, and keep dragging a line across the top of the milk, and touch down at each corner and then down to meet the actual milk. And then we'll touch down again and do another line back across the top. Again, touch down before you go over the straw, lift up, go over the straw, touch down on the other side, and then finish your line. And then use your scribe or your toothpick to settle down any start or stop points or smooth any icing out where you need to. And now our belt buckle has had a chance to set up, so I'm just going to go ahead and add this little bit here in the center. I'm basically just going to make a dot and then kind of pull it out over the top just a little bit. And I'll use my scribe to settle it down, being careful not to poke into the belt buckle because that icing is still wet underneath. And then I let my cookie dry completely before coming back in with some edible gold paint. Again, all the products are listed in the description. And I'm just going to brush this on and cover the entire belt buckle with some gold. And then Santa's milk is done. I think these are an absolutely adorable cookie pair, and the cookie cutters are listed in the description. And I think Santa's going to be really happy to find this when he comes down the chimney on Christmas Eve. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Drop me a note in the comments. Let me know what kind of Christmas cookies you'd like to see next. Bye for now.